Morning, and welcome to the Development and Finance Committee meeting of the Housing Opportunities Commission of Montgomery County. Today is September 22nd, 2023. I'm Commissioner Jeff Merkowitz. To my right, I have Commissioner Robin Solomon, and unfortunately absent today is Commissioner Rick Nelson. To begin this meeting, our first item for approval is the minutes of September 1st, 2023. We have minutes for an open session and for a closed session. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Motion to approve the minutes. And I'll second. All in favor? Aye. The minutes are approved. Moving to the action items on our agenda. Our first item for discussion today has to do with our single-family mortgage purchase program. And I will turn that over to Director Chelsea Andrews for discussion.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Committee Chair, members of the committee, HOC team, and the public. This matter comes before you. It's one of our standard requests as it pertains to our single-family mortgage purchase program and the lenders that we engage with for this program. I'm going to ask our Director of Mortgage Finance, Monty Stanford, to provide you with more details.
Thank you, Executive Director Andrews. Good morning, Commissioners. Today, I would like to present to you, I'm sorry, I have the wrong thing in front of me here, to approve participating lender in the single-family mortgage purchase program to provide mortgage financing to low and moderate income first-time home buyers in Montgomery County. To provide a little background on this, the Commission, as you know, has approved the continuous participation of new lenders to the program and ongoing admission for new lenders in the mortgage purchase program. As lenders apply for participation in the MPP, the requests are submitted to you for approval. Increasing lender participation broadens the exposure of the Commission's single-family program mortgage products, as well as the revolving county closing cost assistance and other special closing cost programs such as the MCAF, as the closing cost assistance loans must be used in conjunction with our first mortgage. All approved and participating lenders are advised that continued participation in the MPP require mortgage loan production. If the lender does not submit a mortgage loan within any 12-month period, the lender may be subject to suspension as a participating lender in the MPP. Over the years, HOC has approved 35 lenders, but through non-participation of the mortgage company's notice to end its participation, there are currently 25 lenders in the MPP program. Lenders can be activated again with approval by HOC, but are subject to retraining and verification as they are approved by U.S. Bank, the Commission's master servicer for our mortgage-backed security program. First Savings Mortgage Corporation is an approved mortgage revenue bond program correspondent with U.S. Bank. The minimum qualifications for lender participation in the MPP are: one, that the lender is not a mortgage broker and can close loans in the company's name; two, the lender is an FHA-approved seller servicer; and three, the lender is a Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae seller servicer for originating conventional products. New lenders are also required to be approved by U.S. Bank. In addition, lenders must have origination experience in single-family tax-exempt bond programs and are committed to lending toward eligible borrowers within the MPP once approved. Approved lenders receiving training from HOC staff and U.S. Bank before they are allowed to begin originating and closing for the MPP. Lender approval will apply to the 1979 Single-Family Mortgage Revenue Bond Resolution and the 2009 Single-Family Housing Revenue Bond Resolution and the 2019. First Mortgage Savings Corporation has applied to participate in the HOC Single Family Mortgage Purchase Program and has met the minimum requirements and criteria for selection stated above. A little about First Savings Mortgage Corporation. First Savings Mortgage Corporation has been open for business and serving the Washington, DC area since 1979. They are a source. They are a source of residential financing in Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C., as well as Florida, Delaware, North Carolina, and South Carolina. They are the leading private mortgage lender in Maryland with a large office based out of Bethesda, Maryland. And FSMC, First Savings Mortgage Corp., has built its mortgage lending authority within the state for over the last 30 years. As a local lender, they understand the challenges of purchasing in this high-cost area and are committed to providing housing for all in the best and most efficient manner possible. They were named a top 2 lender ranking by Washington Business Journal's list. This is a remarkable milestone and reflects the dedication, expertise, and unwavering commitment to define First Savings' mortgage approach to serving its valued clients and partners. They participate in the Maryland CDA program and recently won an award with MMP, the state's single-family mortgage program, for the most units offered under their Smart Buy program. First Savings Mortgage Corp. Also participates in the DC Housing Finance Agency and Virginia Housing Development Authority single-family programs. First FSMC offers applications in multiple languages and have staff who can speak second languages and can assist in the application process. It will also market any affordable housing programs that work in conjunction with the Commission's other lending programs. Marketing efforts will exemplify our objective and reach out to first-time home buyers to make them aware of our home ownership opportunities. Issues for consideration. Does the Development and Finance Committee wish to join the staff's recommendation that the Commission approve First Savings Mortgage Corp. In the single-family mortgage purchase program?
Are there any questions? Is there a motion to support the staff's recommendation to send this to the full board for approval? A motion to that effect. I'll second. All in favor? Aye. The motion is approved. Thank you, Monty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is the first of 2 items related to HOC headquarters. So I will turn that over to Director Andrews to begin discussion.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, today you will hear 2 items related to our HQ. We will start with this first request as it pertains to the general contractor and the next steps that we need to take to engage the general contractor to begin work. Subsequent to that presentation, you will hear the financing plan. And as I mentioned to you previously, we did experience, unfortunately, some technical issues with our packet in converting it, and we will take our time to identify any areas that we have since had to add back to the packet and make sure that the version for the public is also the full and complete version. On the PowerPoint slide, as well as the version that will be viewed for the public, it will include the full and correct information. So this first request is an exciting one. We are prepared to move forward with breaking ground, and to do that, we need to move forward with entering into our contract with the GC. At this time, I would like to turn it over to our finance team, both Zachary Marks, our Chief Real Estate Officer, as well as Jay Shepard, our Housing Acquisitions Manager, who's leading this project. Oh, development team. I apologize.
Yeah, upgrade today. Um, Thank you so much, Director Andrews. My name is Jay Shepard, for the record, Housing Acquisition Manager in Real Estate Development. And with me is Zachary Marks, our Chief Real Estate Officer. Just going to walk through the packet. It starts on page 16, I believe, of your packet, or your brief book. So going 2 pages forward to the executive summary. This is just for background. This is our new flagship headquarter building, and it is in downtown Silver Spring at the corner of Fenwick and Second Avenue. And it is going to be a 9-story building that is approximately 83,000 square feet. We have been through design and development on this and are actually in receipt of our record plat that'll be ready for recording shortly. I wanted to let you know that, it first came to the commission back in April of 2019. That was our first time presenting related to the ground lease and the development services agreement with Promark for the site. And it was most recently at the commission earlier this year in July when we presented the final development plan. We had also received an early start agreement notice to proceed from the commission just previous to that. And so that early start agreement was executed and has been started and is underway. And so now during this period, we've been negotiating with the general contractor, who was also selected at that most recent meeting, to negotiate a guaranteed maximum price. It's a cost plus fee with a guaranteed maximum price contract that has been negotiated. Also during the summer, there was additional design work that came as a result of some modifications that HOC had chosen to pursue. And that was added into a final, what we call issued for construction set of documents. And that total was $50,109,878. And it was a slight increase over the amount that was seen in July by about $115,000. But overall, the total development cost for the opportunity decreased because we found savings elsewhere. So the commission was presented a $74 million approval in July, and this is currently we're at under 73 million for the overall opportunity. So, oh yes. And if we could fast forward the slides by 2.
Commissioners, I was just alerted that Commissioner Nelson is also trying to join in via Zoom. So I think the IT team is probably multitasking, bringing him in and pinning him if possible, as well as trying to follow along with the slide.
I'm in, but I will not be speaking.
Okay, thank you. I think we're having some difficulty, Commissioner Nelson, with pinning you. So we'll make sure that we pause to ask if there are questions along the way. And let's see. Okay, wonderful.
There you are.
All right, thank you.
So that's page 19 of the packet. And this is where we're asking for the resolution to approval and negotiate the final guaranteed max price in an amount up to and not to exceed $50,109,878 and issue the notice to proceed. If you'll go to the next slide. All right, thank you. So this breaks out the budget price proposal, and it does show the difference between our July number of GMP of $49,994,408 with the changes that came in the IFC set of $115,470, and that's the breakdown for the $50,109,878, and those are all broken into the individual CSI divisions or the construction service division. And so this is combination of both the early start work as well as the vertical construction phase. We broke them into, calling them just two phases, but really it was a total scope of work. Part of that scope of work was broken out into an early start phase for submittals and some related documentation that they could get started on early. But it is part of the overall budget, and I just wanted to point that out. If we go to the next slide. As currently approved, like I said, the record plat has been received, but it needs to be filed. And that will be in relation and timing in conjunction with our closing, which we're projecting later this year. Building permits also have to be issued after that. We also have site construction starting in December, and it's an approximately 23-month construction cycle. At which time we would be wrapping up the building and basically being ready for occupancy, which we anticipate late in October or late in the fall of October 2025. This slide basically just documents that duration process for us. The reason we're using a guaranteed maximum price is documented on the next couple slides for you. This is some of the key contract terms that outlined in the scope. We've obviously been able to create a baseline schedule as far as this contract goes, and that does have liquidated damages that are tiered associated with it. So what I mean by that is essentially if there's there will be a substantial completion date identified in the contract. If they miss that date, within 30 days, there's a $1,000 per day charge to the contractor. Over 30 days, it increases to $2,000 per day. And that goes until 60 days. And then over 60 days, it increases to $3,000. And we felt that that was an appropriate sort of way to incentivize them and not try to overly penalize them at the same time. But it does provide for the incentives that we felt was important to get the job done on time. There's cost savings built into these GMPs so that if the total cost is not realized, there would be a savings. We've worked with Paradigm before, once on the Upton 2, which is now the residences on the lane, most recently in Rockville. That was completed in December of 2021. And that contract also had a sharing provision of which HOC had a 50-50 share. So any savings that were realized, HOC received 50% of those savings back. And that worked out well. We do have dispute resolutions built into this in terms of associated with that, as well as defective work. On the slide that's shown, we've actually jumped to the prior commission's actions. That lists basically the actions that have come before the commission previously. And then the slide after that is the issues for consideration slide. And this is the formal request that does the Development and Finance Committee wish to join staff's recommendation that the commission grant its approval for the executive director to negotiate and execute a guaranteed maximum price contract for the amount of $50,109,878 with Paradigm Contractors as a general contractor for the HOC HQ, and issue notice to proceed. And if you would, that would be for deliberation at for deliberation here and then action at the October 4th meeting of the commission. And I'm happy to answer any questions, or the team can answer any questions. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Did that contract you mentioned before with did that have liquidated damages also?
It did.
The same?
A little different. It was based on, so that was a residential building, and it was based on delivery of floors. And so we had it structured just slightly different so that if the tiers, so it was delivered in, like I said, by floor. So if those floors, that phase of floors was not delivered on time, then that would have an associated liquidated damage associated with it, and it would compound as each floor was delayed. They actually did not deliver late, so there were no liquidated damages that incurred.
Thank you.
Commissioner Nelson, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
If there are no additional questions, I will entertain a motion to support the staff's recommendation to send this to the full board for consideration.
Such a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 The motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
In case you guys haven't noticed, I'm on the subway, so you might hear a little bit of noise in the background.
I hope you're on one of the nicer train cars. Next item is our second item discussing HOC headquarters and the financing for the plan of construction and permanent financing.
Yes, thank you, commissioners. As stated previously, this is the next phase in terms of moving forward with our headquarters. We do have our mortgage finance team here to provide this presentation.
Hello, Commissioners. For the record, oh, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
I'll pause a moment.
It's okay. Good morning again, Commissioners. For the record, Monty Stanford, Director of Mortgage Finance. As Jay mentioned, the newly constructed HOC headquarters building will serve as the primary administrative offices for HOC. Mortgage finance supports both the qualitative and quantitative aspects of the headquarters transaction being presented. Qualitatively, mortgage finance is re-emphasizing the need to consolidate and increase our overall operational efficiency. The fact that the headquarters building is close to a Silver Spring Metro provides the community and our stakeholders with one-stop location for many services provided by HOC, as well as the improved resident access to commission meetings and other public forums is another practical reason to pursue this project. Quantitatively, mortgage finance has been challenged by deteriorating market conditions both nationally and locally in the commercial real estate market and a significant increase in interest rates, which continue to weigh on the fundamentals of commercial real estate. Fortunately, mortgage finance has gained comfort in focusing its underwriting on the fact that the headquarters building will be 100% owner occupied by HOC, which, as you know, has an A rating, and that allows this particular transaction to represent lower transactional costs than a typical commercial real estate tenant might face given the current market conditions. Given that this is not HOC's typical multifamily transaction, mortgage finance is working closely with the real estate, asset, property management, and budget finance divisions. Present a plan in November to support our collective assumptions that Victoria will share with you on how HOC will achieve the cash flow needed to service the bonds. This collaborative, internal exercise is not that dissimilar from how HOC staff work collectively to underwrite and close on the scattered sites property presented back to you in the spring. I now turn it over to Ms. Victoria Dixon.
Hello again. For the record, Victoria Dixon, Senior Multifamily Underwriter for Mortgage Finance, here to request the approval of the construction and permanent financing plans for the headquarters with additional applicable items. On your page 28, I understand some of the information. Oh, it is visible. Okay, great. So the proposed headquarters building in Silver Spring will serve to consolidate our existing scattered offices of HOC into one central location to improve operational efficiencies. The building will be directly owned by the commission and subject to a 99-year ground lease with Promark. Coinciding with the transaction, Promark is in its process to acquire the last parcel for the development, utilizing a $3 million loan from HOC. On July 12th, 2023, the commission approved a final development plan of approximately $74 million to include use of available funds from the Opportunity Housing Fund Reserve and issuing tax exempt general obligation funds. And today, terms of the GC contract. In addition, contemporaneously, the commission will be asked to approve establishing the commission's general fund operating reserve of up to $4,655,000 as a reserve for the transaction, which will be approximate to 1 year of debt service expense. If you would move to page 31 or slide 6, there are a few slides that go through the historical resolutions, the specific asks, and here we land on a summary. In order to execute the development plan, the staff proposes the issuance of up to $75 million of tax exempt governmental bonds under the 2002 multiple purpose indenture, which will be backed by HOC's general obligation. Bond proceeds will be used to repay existing sources, fund acquisition, construction, and equipping of the building for the commencement of operations, and which may be used for other eligible costs of the commission. We are sizing using a 5.62 percentage rate, and a 50 basis point cushion is included with amortization of the loan after an interest-only period of 40 years. The interest-only period of up to 3 years. Let me rephrase that. If you would move then to the next slide for our timeline. The issuance of the bonds and closing of the transaction is expected to occur by November, with a 2-year construction timeline for staff to take occupancy beginning in January 2026. On your next slide, with a summary of transaction highlights, the issuance of the bonds and closing of the transaction, the structure of the bonds is proposed to have an interest-only period, as mentioned, of up to 3 years, during which time the interest expenses will be capitalized. Moving on to the next slide, is a brief overview of the property, which, in addition to what you've heard previously, will provide the operational efficiencies, the location as a multimodal hub for greater accessibility of residents. On slide 10, your next page, here represents a comparison of our existing operational costs for our disparate properties compared to what we are projecting under the new office building. So, and staff has completed its underwriting for the overall impact to HOC as shown, representing only a net increase of 5.7% operationally, which is expected to reduce when considering lower capital expenses to maintain a new purpose-built space compared to existing significantly older facilities. As shown, the additional debt service of $4.65 million assumes the interest rate of 5.62%, inclusive of the 50 basis point cushion and amortizing over the 40 years.
And I just quick clarification, because I was trying to match the text with the what's shown in the projections.
Mhm.
In the table is minor point that is it shows debt service of 4.63 million, and in the text we're saying 4.654 is. Am I missing something, or is that just
You are on slide 10?
yes? And even what's being shown up here, am I looking at the wrong, at the bottom where it says debt service for projected operations?
Does it say 4534?
No, it says 4,630,936
That, so,
in the green shaded
yeah,
projected operations.
or the 463? The net
Well, or
of the net of the
Well,
4534 is net reducing from what the previous debt service of $96,000 was.
okay, but in the text we say 4,654,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, that must be a typo. Yes.
Commissioner, good morning. For the record, I'm Karen Brown, Deputy Executive Director. Until the bonds are priced and we know the exact interest rate, we won't know what the precise amount is. And so we're asking the commission to, in a separate packet presented by BFNA, to fund a reserve equivalent to the amount of the annual debt service, first year of debt service. So the numbers will, may look a little different in the packet, but ultimately, once the bonds are priced and we know what the number is, we'll be able to.
And that's fine. I just thought maybe the numbers should match.
Yes, that will correct that.
Okay, thank you.
Apologies.
And we will make that revision for the packet for the board. Thank you.
In the next slide, staff has completed its underwriting to support issuance of the bonds. In order to confirm no negative impact to HOC, a collaborative effort was led by the Budget Office, Property Management, Maintenance, Risk Management, Asset Management, and Real Estate divisions to identify cash flow opportunities of approximately 4.7 million to service the debt. As previously mentioned, with interest capitalized from bond proceeds during the construction period, will provide time for implementation of these savings over the next 2 years. In addition, the commission may draw upon the OHRF to offset costs of the new headquarters, which would reduce the bond issuance and associated debt service expense. On the next slide, for your review, is a summary of the proposed sources and uses for the transaction. The bonds are shown representing a 100% loan to cost, apart from the funds to establish the debt service reserve in the commission's general fund operating reserve. Subject to interest rate movements, the supportable amount of governmental bonds may increase to the requested 75 million, from which the additional proceeds may be used for other eligible expenses of HOC. Moving to slide 14. There is no, for the budget fiscal impact, there is no negative impact expected for the commission's fiscal year 2024 budget or general obligation, as debt service and costs of the issuance will be paid from bond proceeds. Therefore, based upon staff's findings, we recommend the Development and Finance Commission support staff's recommendation for the commission to approve these actions as noted. The first ask is the approval of the bond authorizing resolution, the financing plan and budget totaling approximately 76.9 million. The second is approval of the bond authorizing resolution for the bonds. And third is the executive director to negotiate and execute all related documents. Are there any questions?
Good.
I'm still learning, so bear with me. Are you issuing the bonds off your own balance sheet, or are you enhancing them?
Yes, they will be secured by HOC's general obligation as the source of collateral repayment, not the real estate itself.
And tell me what Promark did. I'm sorry, I'm still catching up with you all.
So Promark is our developer partner in this transaction. They have the ground lease with us. They're also consulting. I would ask real estate if you want to ask more questions about the relationship.
Or maybe we could talk afterwards.
Yeah.
On the operating projections, if we go back to slide 11.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering, with these items, how much control do we have over these items? Vacancy loss reduction, bad debt reduction, expense reduction. To what extent, are these kind of external factors that we're able to say, oh, let's reduce our vacancies? And if it were that easy, I assume we would be reducing our vacancies already.
Great question. I will say that with the property management, asset management, and maintenance leadership, they have had an opportunity to look at where we currently are operating and how small adjustments in our current operations could make these impacts. So this is not a optimistic scenario. This is if we were able to, in the past, have the level of oversight that's needed on these properties, that we would realize these gains in our income and in our profits. There are already efforts underway and improvement underway in terms of changes that have occurred. And then, of course, this is projecting out, giving us 2 years to get up to this amount before we would have to maintain that level on an ongoing basis. And so we're already seeing those changes taking place. But it is true, of course, there are some circumstances outside of our control. If these considerations aren't able, or these particular items aren't able to support the overall amount, we have reserves set aside, and we will have to explore other expense savings. But we will make adjustments as needed to ensure that we're able to maintain this operating expense.
Great. Yeah, no, that was what I wanted to know is not a suggestion that we shouldn't move forward with these, even with these projections, but wanting to understand what backup we had or what we would do if these projections did not come through. Since, presumably we should always be looking to reduce our vacancies and bad debt. And so, are there any additional questions? I don't know if we lost Commissioner Nelson on the Metro. Maybe the man who never returned. If anybody's familiar with the Boston MTA, sorry. Hearing no other questions, is there a motion to support the staff's recommendation and send the items to the full board for consideration?
Such a motion.
Rick, are you there? I will second the motion. Are there any additional? Second. Okay. I'm sorry?
I'm in the tunnel.
He's in a tunnel.
Oh, okay. Do you have any additional questions?
No.
Okay. Then the motion has been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Thank you. Our final item for discussion today has to do with our Metro Point property in Wheaton. Director Andrews.
Yes, thank you. We are going to present you with a recommendation as it pertains to buying out and taking advantage of our 15-year buyout for Metro Point Wheaton. Before you is our Director of Asset Management, John Wilhoit, supported by our Chief Real Estate Officer, Zach Remarks.
Morning.
Metro Point is a long-standing owned asset. The green light works. Metro Point is an asset that has been within the HOC portfolio since 2008. It's went through its tax credit period and now is in a position for us to own it wholly. And we have a good partner here with Wells Fargo, and they are ingratiating us with an opportunity to own the other 99% of the property, which we are now just a general partner with a 1% ownership. My packet starts on page 41, I believe. Metro Point was constructed in 2008 using low-income housing tax credit equity. A limited partnership, Wheaton Metro LP, was formed to receive the equity investment. HOC is the general partner in that partnership, and an affiliate of Wells Fargo is the limited partner. We're buying the limited partner interest. Post-acquisition, Metro Point is in the pipeline for renovation with tax credit re-syndication by the HOC real estate development team, hopefully beginning in 2025. Renovation will include interior and exterior upgrades to enhance the asset's marketability, reinforcement of structural components, and reinvestment in building systems. Metro Point is a total of 173 units. Those are owned in 2 separate condominium structures, each with a different owner. Wheaton Metro Point LP, it owns 53 affordable units originally funded by the tax credit equity. The 120 unrestricted units are owned by HOC via Metro Point Development Corporation. And on page 43, you'll see the before and after logistics of the acquisition. Our ask today, staff recommendations, is to approve the acquisition of the limited partner interest from Wells Fargo for Wheaton Metro LP for $100 plus legal fees. Approve the assignment of the limited partner interest for Wheaton Metro LP to HOC's ownership entity, HOC Year 15 LLC. Authorize the executive director to take any and all actions necessary, and approve a draw of $6,000 from the Opportunity Housing Reserve Fund for the acquisition cost.
Minor point, but on this slide that we're looking at here, is this labeled correctly? If the HOC Year 15 LLC is taking out the limited partner, it shows 1% versus 99%.
I have to defer.
The first slide is correct. Sorry, left. We have 1% for the general partner and 99.
Right.
Today to see what they got transposed to the after slide.
So the general partner HOC would still retain 1%, and yeah, okay, so that just needs to be corrected. Are there other questions?
Maybe for another day, but have you looked at selling the property compared to a resyndication and what the bottom line would look like in comparison as we search for resources to do other things and deal with our waiting list and or more targeting of beyond 30%, that kind of thing?
Dispositions is always something that's on our radar screen. But when it comes to 15-year exits and a willing partner, God bless them, let's buy it. And then I'm more than willing to.
My mistake. I'm totally for what you're doing for $100.
Yeah, I'm totally for looking at dispositions and not looking away from that, because there are opportunities within our portfolio. Whether this is one or not, I'm not next.
And that's all I was asking, is maybe at a later date, we discuss that in some fashion and see what the comparison is of your initial thoughts on resyndication compared to sale. But no one's going to argue with $100. Excellent work.
I'm glad Commissioner Nelson is on so he can see that all of our units are not $600,000.
And yeah, I will just add on to what Commissioner Solomon said. Is, I think it's always worth looking at this disposition, with the caveat that as long as we are able to meet, and ensure that that continues. And Rick, do you have any questions? Hearing none, I will just say that, I'm glad we're doing this. As has been mentioned, there's been a structural deficit with this property for, I guess, forever. And so addressing that is really important, and whether that's through, whatever changes we can make or through disposition, ultimately. But is there a motion to support the staff's recommendation to send this to the full board for consideration?
Such a motion.
Is there a second? I will second the motion. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? I think we may have lost Commissioner Nelson temporarily, but the motion carries. And I think that is our last item for discussion. Are there any other items for discussion? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.